Hi, it's the 21st of November. I thought I'd take the opportunity of using this particular session to explain all about the ascendant in astrology. This is a comment that we had on the YouTube channel last week, and I thought, yeah, what a great idea because it does actually cause a lot of confusion. I suppose it's because it's not a planet and it depends on position. And so immediately people's eyes glaze over. If you can't look up or see a planet or identify it with a goddess or something, it's like anyway, it has an enormous impact on the astrology of anything. So a birth chart, enormous impact on a person, or a transiting chart, enormous impact on that particular chart. It's very important. Right, okay, so what we need to do first of all is identify what it looks like in a chart. Okay, now this is a transiting chart, but it could easily be a birth chart. If there was a baby born in this room right now, this would be its birth chart, but it's not, it's transiting chart. Okay, for the purposes of transiting astrology, actually, we use planets. But for the purpose of a birth chart, it is much more important to look at the arrangement of the zodiac belt. Now, this is the zodiac belt here. This is an imaginary ring around the Earth. Excuse me. And also, the important bit in looking at a natal chart is this line here, the ascendant. Now you can see the AS there. We don't have a symbol for the ascendant. We don't have a glyph as we have for planets. So we just use AS. And opposite to the ascendant is the descendant. This is a line, and the line is actually the horizon. So if you were born right now in this room, this would be your chart. That would be the horizon. These would be the planets in the sky above your head, and these would be the planets behind you on the other side of the Earth. And your ascendant would be 17 degrees of Cancer rising. So it's a rising sign or it's an ascending sign. Okay, so that identifies it there. All right, I'm just going to stop that share for a moment. And I'm now going to bring in my trusty globe. Okay, go. Right. So I always find it easier to visualize things, to be honest with you. So let's let's use this. Okay, so let's imagine being born in the USA. Okay, right, just there. Now, the ecliptic, I'm going to bring into something now. That circle around the chart that we just looked at with the zodiac signs on it, that is called the ecliptic. What it is actually the apparent path of the sun around the earth. Now, I know that actually it's the earth that moves around the sun, but for the purposes of this exercise, it doesn't matter. You can look at it from either end. So we have an ecliptic, which is the zodiac belt, and that is made up of 12 zodiac signs, 30 degrees each, which is invisible, but is apparently around the Earth, right? So it's around the Earth somehow. Okay, right. Now, if you're born in the States, okay, now let's just take a pen and I'm going to sort of go, right, you're born there. So your feet are going through the center of the earth and your head is moving out into space, okay? Now, if I was to move you from being born here to being born there, look at the difference in where your head and your feet are, okay? Now, this is important because all around the earth is an electromagnetic environment, but not just electromagnetic, it's an environment that is full of invisible influences as well. We live in the sun's garden, and a birth chart is absolutely dependent and critically affected by the relationship of the sun and the earth. These are the things that have the most importance. Okay, so if you think about the sun's influence, it not only kicks out photons of light, it also kicks out enormous power, forces, energy. You've got all the quantum stuff, all the invisible, undetectable things like neutrinos. Billions and billions of neutrinos are going through the earth, through me, through you, through everything here, every second, and we don't even know that we don't even feel them. They're coming out from the sun. The electromagnetic environment is being dictated by the sun and the earth, which has its own, and it's the two affecting each other, and the fact that they stretch, one can pull the other. Well, no, the sun's huge influence can flex the earth, let's put it that way. So, I mean, those are just a few things. So what we can get from that is that we live in this really alive, moving, dynamic, kicking environment, and kind of like an electrical universe, if you like. And it's all to do with the relationship between the sun and the earth and your position in it. Right, that's very important. The exact time and the exact place. Now, the exact time and place dictate what your birth chart looks like. And actually, that is a very individual thing. I don't think anybody else could ever have a birth chart which looks exactly like yours. They'd have to be born on top of you, literally on top of you at exactly the same time. Now, you can say somebody else is born on the same day, and you can say they're born at the same time. Okay, really? All right then. But no, how many people are born within meters of you at exactly the same time? That would be really unusual. Even twins, right, are born minutes apart. That's just nature. They have to be. So it is terribly unique. Your particular set of birth data is unique to you and will probably never be repeated. So that makes you very special. And I think you need to recognize that. You capture a very special moment in an alive, electric, living, breathing, kicking universe, if you like, or a solar system environment. And you're very special and part of that. The three-dimensional, invisible spider's web. Okay. Right. So now the ascendant in all of this. So the ascendant is dictated by looking east of your birthplace. So let's go to, we've got a light in the way, haven't we? Okay, never mind. So let's say that we're born around here. So you're looking towards the eastern horizon. And it's wherever you're born, right, has an eastern horizon, doesn't it? Okay. It's where the ecliptic or the invisible ring of zodiac signs, the sun's path, it's where that invisible ring around the earth intercepts the eastern horizon. That is your ascendant. And that's it. It's kind of that simple. I should tell you actually that if you don't like your ascendant, let's say you've got 15 degrees of Capricorn rising, and you think, well, do you know, life could be a lot lighter if I had Gemini rising. Well, all you've got to do is just move, because if you move, then you move and change your ascendant. So you have what we call a relocated chart. Now, I always relocate somebody's chart if they've moved. If you're looking at a chart which you were born in Australia and you're now living in the States, you're looking at a birth chart which is Australian in nature. Well, it's only really going to work for me if you're in Australia. You have to relocate your birth chart in order to be working with this electromagnetic environment, putting it simply, rather than the Australian one. you're no longer in Australia, so your birth chart isn't really going to work for prediction, forecasting, that kind of thing. Okay, right. Now, hopefully that has explained how we get to the ascendant. What is the ascendant, right? So we've got there, right? Now, let's just go back to the share again. And now look at this, okay? So I'm doing this in the evening, actually. It's 7 o'clock, and the sun has gone down below the descendant and is now on the other side of the earth. So I'm in nighttime, and when the sun moves round and gets to here, then the sun will appear on the horizon and will ascend, will rise up. Now, if I just said to you about sunrise and how important it feels and how the eagerness, the anticipation, the euphoria of sunrise, then we can see how this ascendant can make something so amplified, so very, very important. I also want to explain that I see it as the neck of a bottle, so that everything else in your chart has to pass through this neck. Everything is influenced by the ascendant or rising sign. Okay, now I'm just going to stop that share and explain this a little bit more. Everybody identifies with the yang energy, so the sun's energy. We'll identify with our sun sign, the sign the sun was in when we were born. But very few people recognize their ascending sign. And I think this is because when we try to see our ascendant, to look back and see ourselves from a distance or from the outside, we take our ascendant with us, and we can't therefore look back on it. It's a part of us that we can never really observe, and kind of think about and work with. It's so much the intrinsic part of us that we can't actually get a distance and try to manipulate or work with or understand this kind of thing. So very few people actually recognize, know, or identify with their ascending sign, I think. And that's fine. When babies are born, I think we see their ascendant before we see their sun sign. I think it takes a few years for a baby to grow up and start to develop its sun sign. But the ascending sign and possibly the moon sign are kind of obvious to start with. I mean, certainly when it comes to cats, for instance, I know a lot about cats, and they act their ascendant rather more than they do their sun sign. Okay, so the ascendant. So let's just think about the meaning of it in astrology. So what we've said is, okay, that it's like the neck of a bottle. You could also see it as the window. If you're let's say you're a house, it will be the door, the front door, or it's a window through which you see the world and through which the world sees you. When you first meet somebody, they don't meet your sun sign. If you're meeting them in an official capacity, a work capacity, vocational or something like that, if you're meeting a doctor or a nurse or something, then you will actually sort of meet their midheaven as well. However, when you first meet somebody, you're more likely meeting their ascendant. So when you first meet, you say hi. That is your ascendant that is doing it all. It operates you on the outside. If you have an ascendant which is in a masculine sign, you're much more obvious. You're much more forthcoming. If you have an ascendant which is in a feminine sign, then you're more reticent. You're more likely to be on the side, looking at everybody else, taking things in, but not going ta-da. You're just more like to be, that's okay, and watching everybody. So you will have a personality which is dependent, as far as initial concerns are concerned, people seeing you for the first time, is dependent on your ascendant, not your sun sign. Okay, so I hope that was useful. What I wanted to do was simply explain to you what the ascendant was in astrology, how we determined it, what it meant, and then how we should understand it, really. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the share because I just want to look. This moment is, yeah, I thought so. I just want to look at the sun before I finish the video. It's at 29:57. Look at this because it's the last time you'll see it this year. The last time you'll see Sun and Scorpio, the two symbols together, because in 3 minutes of arc, which is, oh, I don't know, less than an hour, I guess, well, an hour probably, the Sun will have Sagittarius, this symbol here next to it. It'll have 0 Sagittarius. So I thought that was worth mentioning. There we go. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, now do let me know in the comments if that was useful. And I hope it was. I like to understand these things myself because I feel that I get a deeper understanding of astrology if I can fathom out where it came from. Otherwise, I'm kind of like, yeah, what's that then? Like, okay, I need to know a bit more about that before I'll take that in. So if this is why I've always struggled and worked hard at understanding everything to do with it, just because I'm not sure I believe in it unless I can take it apart and examine it. Anyway, thank you. It's been lovely to talk to you, and I would love you to see you tomorrow. And thanks very much for being around. There we go. And I'm going to say goodbye now. Bye.